Welcome to Beauty Brains Bubbly. My name is Deborah O'Brien, and today we are talking day 16 of carnivore diet and the challenges of maintaining this style of eating in social settings. This past week has been interesting. It's easy, or at least easier to diet when you're home all day. It's a whole nother deal to manage the limited food choices available while eating strictly carnivore while traveling or in social situations. So let's start with travel. This diet definitely requires some preparation if you travel a lot, especially for work. It's funny, we managed our very first day of carnivore road tripping for 7 hours by randomly finding a barbecue joint right off the road for lunch. And then we ordered drive-through burger patties for dinner. That worked, but it isn't really sustainable. Trying to eat on the fly works a little easier for me because I'm 5'4". I don't really require as much food, and I have weight loss goals in mind. So extended fasting or really small meals is something that I can manage and is probably really good for me. But my fiance is 6'4", now 179 pounds, lost a ton of weight already. He needs more food. He tried a few wing it days on the road and ended up feeling hungry, frustrated. He'd roll in at the end of the day exhausted and just out of energy. He quickly tired of the burger patty drive-through thing, and he did a quick run into the grocery store one day, which led him to call me and just kept reading label after label, trying to find lunch items that sort of fell in the rules, let's say, of carnivore. And what's been wild to realize is how many foods that we thought would be easy pickups at the grocery store that really aren't as clean as we thought. Beef jerky, bacon, yogurt, all of these things are actually super loaded with sugar, most of them at least. And I tried going online and ordering things like Carnivore Crisps, which is a brand that's out there that people recommend, or I made some egg white bread. I wanted quick grab and go items that were easily available for him. You know, both things he could make himself or a snack or, quick on the road type munchies. But those two things at least really didn't hit the mark for him. So I've started to look at making things like hard-boiled eggs, chicken. I did find some decent yogurts and cheeses to try to kind of round it out for a to-go lunchbox that's kind of ready for him to grab and go. But I will say that this is an area that is definitely in need of some work on my part. So any of you carnivore pros out there that have recommendations, bring them on. One of the big concerns with this diet is how it was going to impact our social life. We love eating and cocktailing with our friends. It's a huge part of our life. And I have to say that we both found the idea of restricting ourselves to just meat, fish, salt, water, really palpable only as a short-term solution. I have always been a big proponent of moderation in all things. So, reading through blogs and Facebook posts and seeing hardcore carnivore enthusiasts saying, you can't have a cheat day ever, really turned both of us off. When I was trying to imagine my life a year from now, still being bound to such a strict diet, I don't know. I have a very hard time with that. 3 months, sure, no problem. A year, I don't know. Not without at least one day a week where we can just cut loose and hang with friends and have a few cocktails and enjoy a meal without being a total pain in the arse with our total over the top restrictions. And I just stick with me here because I know my hardcore carnivore friends out there are immediately yelling at this screen, yelling all the reasons why a cheat day doesn't work. But I want to give you all a completely transparent account of how I feel as a newbie dipping my toe into this thing, not just a rah session boasting just all of the benefits, right? So I knew dinners out this week could potentially be kryptonite for me. My oldest son was in town, so I did things like schedule a lunch at a Japanese restaurant. And while it was totally doable, I ordered strictly sashimi. The lunch tab was astronomically high because I was ordering straight sashimi and not the lunch special with all of the fillers like rice and salad, soup. It was a great meal for a special occasion, but not financially realistic under everyday circumstances. I also booked dinner one of the nights at our favorite, like fancy steakhouse. And that was certainly easier because of the a la carte meats, but also a little underwhelming without the addition of things like lobster mashed potatoes and broccoli and macaroni and cheese and dessert. I will tell you at this dinner, I did. I broke down and I ate a piece of pretzel bread and I immediately felt guilty for doing it. And then I was beating myself up for being so stupidly regimented that I couldn't just cut myself a break and enjoy it at least. I ordered Pellegrino so that I could feel like I was part of the group and had something to sip on. And then when the mushrooms and the mac and cheese hit the table, believe it or not, it wasn't as hard as I imagined it was going to be to pass on those things. But by the end of dinner, I realized, ooh, I hadn't really ordered a large enough steak and I was still hungry. And it took every ounce of self control not to order our favorite butter cake for dessert. The whole experience of the night just felt odd. It just, I felt like it made the evening just a little less enjoyable for even my son. I think he felt bad that he was ordering sides that we weren't going to share in. And then I had to sit through two more bar excursions, sipping on water. And I don't know, it felt weird. It put a little bit of a damper on the evening, if I'm just being completely honest. And we had a second dinner out with friends that went a little easier. Again, we picked a steakhouse and I made sure this time that I ordered enough steak, which definitely helped. It was also a weeknight, so it didn't feel odd for us to forego the cocktails. And I don't think that it put a damper on the evening or impacted our friends in any way. Our third dinner out this week was at a Japanese barbecue house, and that was super helpful because you kind of kept occupied cooking your own meat. You can order everything a la carte, so you're not wasting food. However, the issue is that all of these outings out for meals with people, I left each of those experiences feeling like we spent a ridiculous amount of money for what we got. Why am I spending $60, $70 on meat that I can buy and cook up at home for a fraction of that price? I'm not entirely sure how to remedy this. Is it eat out less? Is it reframe the money that we're spending so it's not so much about the food, but you're buying the atmosphere or the experience? Just saying that out loud makes you kind of cringe. I'm like, all in all, the difficult part of the social aspect of this diet isn't so much that you're seeing other people eat foods that you really want, as much as it's the realization that going out and spending a bunch of time and money to just eat meat feels less than satisfying. It's the first time where I've spent time sitting there without the cocktails to sip on or the salad or the starter to munch on or the variety of foods to savor. It just sort of all combines to make you realize that you've switched from food and drink being the center of entertainment to food just being a means of nourishment. And once you've satiated yourself sort of on whatever meat or fish you're eating and nourished your body, you're just kind of ready to move on and do something else. Can we really not do this diet 6 days a week and carve out one day of just sheer pleasure? And I know you hardcore loyalists are going to say, no, 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 no cheat days allowed, because then you're just reintroducing toxic, damaging foods into your body. And the idea is to see the carnivore diet not as depriving yourself of something wonderful, but actually rewarding yourself by eating things that are far more nutritious. There's certainly also the risk of binging on foods that will then trigger your body to crave more and just result in destroying self-will and just like being a crack addict eating that next hit. And it was hard making the transition those first couple of weeks. And I certainly don't want to awaken those beastly sugar carb cravings before I've had the chance to experience full ketosis and all of the benefits that that seems to offer people. So for those reasons, I'm hanging tough. And then there's one other reason. My partner cheated, not on me, on the diet. And okay, he had 4 cocktails with one of his buddies. And it was kind of funny because he was absolutely silly looped after 2, which is not like him. By 4, he was nauseous and he then laid in bed miserable for the rest of the night. I got a firsthand look of what breaking down and adding that toxic stuff back into your body does. And isn't that the point of the whole elimination diet? Spend enough time without different foods, drinks, spices, so that you can actually experience living in a body without that junk. And then actually be able to recognize and feel the impact of the way these things, and have on our health and our what how we feel when we add them back in. I mean, there isn't just one thing that I am so desperate to have a taste of that it would make me want to spend an evening feeling the way he did that night. Plus, I got up and did a 2-a-day workout and felt like $1,000,000. I have oodles of energy. I'm on this carnivore high right now. I want more of that, please. I have to keep figuring out how to manage my feelings about eating out socially and get comfortable being in the moment without the crutch of sipping and nibbling my way through the experience. So there you have it. That is the end of week 3, baby, and social eating. And we're going strong. We're going into week 4, and I can't wait to see what the results are after a month. So I will be back to you guys next week with more, and I hope you'll subscribe and stick around. Thanks so much.